So hello everyone.
Okay, cut, take second. अरे तो रिटेक यहाँ से ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं ना तू
नहीं
ऐसा सब तेरे को जानते हैं, ऐसा नहीं ना दुनिया में।
This is me.
हमें अपना इसमें उतार दो
फिर से ताली हो जाए।
ठीक है तो हाँ ताली बजा लो नॉट वर्किंग और गॉन डाउन हाँ ठीक है
चलो 1 2 3
Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Avinash Gupta and today I welcome you all to our podcast and the podcast in which we will be talking about journey of three engineers, one being me and two my close friends Ankit and Anshul. So what is this podcast about? What is this we're trying to do? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to just have some good conversations about our experiences in our respective careers, our learnings, and try to share it with all of you, whatever good or bad experiences we have. So I won't say that everything is good, but whatever we had, we'd like to share with all of you so that in case someone can learn something from it, it will be really cool for all of us. So to start with, this episode, we will be specifically talking about our first job as an engineer, our first job in the career. How did we end up there? What was it all about? What did we learn? How did it help in our entire career? So today we'll be discussing specifically about that topic. And to start with, probably I will ask Ankit. Ankit, why don't you tell us about your first job as an engineer? Where did you start working? How was it training and everything? Can you please tell us about your first job?
Hey, this is Ankit. I am currently working as a vice president in credit suisse, but today we are not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about our first job. So, as most of us end up after engineering, I started my first job as a I got my first job as a campus placement, and that was in Tata Consultancy Services. It was in the year of 2008, and I spent around 3 years in that job. The learning experience there was pretty good. When we joined, we had our initial learning program in Bhubaneswar, wherein we were taught the basics around the technologies, which we are not taught in school. So it was kind of a transition between the school and college and towards the enterprise platforms. And that is all where it started. And I personally was trained in Oracle technologies, specifically on the databases side. And from there, we had different openings after the completion of ILPs in different areas in TCS. Like I was placed in Mumbai, wherein there was high demand in the banking sector of the Oracle suite of applications, and that is where I got placed into. And I think as soon as I joined Mumbai, in the first 3 days itself, I was allotted an account. There we call it as an account. That is a typical client. And I started the work there in the first 3 days itself. The overall experience in that 3 years working for the client that I worked for, it was a banking client. It was really great. I end up working with a lot of seniors. So good thing I would boast about is the learning that I got there. That was majorly because the kind of team I was put into. So my team comprised of 3 people, one at onshore and two at offshore, and they were all like 8 to 9 years of experience, and I was the sole fresher that was working with them. And that exposure, the day-to-day talks that I used to hear from them, that was the actual learning that I got, right, as to how to handle a project. At a very, very early stage in my career, I used to hear words like programs and deliveries and timelines and those kind of things. And that exposure, I think, paved the path for me. And that made me compete with not with my peers but with my seniors, right? So that's what got me up. So that I would say was the best learning experience that I got from TCS.
So your initial training happened when you were campus placed in TCS, then you had your training, and then after that training, you got a project allocated. How was that process? Like, how do you get to select what technology you'll be getting trained on, or like what's that process like?
Uh, I don't know the current scenario, but during that time, there was very little choice that you got. So what happened was, when you are in this initial learning program, it's kind of the seats that you get in engineering colleges, right? Wherein there are certain openings, like there are 10 openings in Oracle, 20 openings in Java, and based on that, they try to allocate people, and it's all random. It's
Randomly,
hardly a
okay.
choice. Only, I think, for some of the folks, if they showed some certifications beforehand, like we had for Java and Oracle, so probably that was a trigger for them to select us in a particular technology. But I don't think they have such a bias there. It's mostly random.
Okay. And after that, the selection of, let's say, the account, what you call, or let's say the project in which you are associated to, or let's say the client for which you're going to work. How does that selection work? The city where you want to be, does that also work like randomly, or is there some process usually?
No. So from the city, let me start with the city perspective. So what happens is, during when you complete your ILP, or in the final stages of your ILP, there comes a demand from different cities, and you get to know, okay, Mumbai has 20 need for a fresher, Chennai has 30, and say for example Kolkata has 60. And they'll try to see in a particular batch what the majority of the crowd is. If they are belonging to Kolkata, they'll definitely try to keep Kolkata as a minimum in the number of seats allocation, so that they want people to move around. They don't want people to stay back in their comfort zone, which is actually good. People should move around. And then you get a choice. So what you do is, you typically choose two options for you, one a primary, one a secondary. And then they put it in a program randomly, wherein they probably try to allocate as a best fit. If you get your first preference, if not, then the second preference, and if not, then there's a third dumping zone, wherein the mass seats are there. So if you don't get your first two options, then definitely you are put in the last one. So you have to carefully pick your first, right? Don't go for the one wherein you have less number of seats. Otherwise, there are high chances that you will be moving to the dumping ground. So that happens for the city. Luckily for me, I got my first option. I chose Mumbai, and majority of the people that I was there with the other teammates that I had in the ILP, so those were all based out of Chennai. So their first preference was somewhere in the south, right? They opted for Bangalore, they opted for even Chennai. But unlucky for them, they were all dumped to Kolkata. But nobody chose Mumbai, so that's why I got the first preference there.
Good.
Then once you reach Mumbai, what happens in TCS is they have a group called as RMG, which is called the Resource Management Group. And every other project gives their demand to this group. As in, may it be laterals, may it be experience, even the freshers. So they get a list of demands, and there are RMGs associated to every horizontals or verticals there.
Yeah.
I know it's a pain, but we are not here to talk about RMGs as of now. Probably separate entire sessions around that. But what they typically do is, they try to match up the trainings that you have done, what your experience is, versus what the demand is in the company. It's like a recruitment process altogether. And
is there an interview as well involved? So like, is it like
for freshers, it's a basic interview. For me specifically, what happened was, since the team that was there were all seniors and they required a fresher, but they wanted somebody who is hands-on in Unix and Oracle. So they had a round of interview wherein they gave a small piece of code, which is not that complex. If you know coding a bit, if you know C++, you'll be able to crack it. They were just testing whether you have some practical knowledge and not just theoretical knowledge. That was all they were looking for. Once that was cleared, it was a straight, like the very next day we got allocated and we moved there. and the work started altogether.
So one last question I have before I ask the same question to Anshul is the in that your first let's say 2 years or 3 years in that account or that project, when was the time when you felt that you felt like an engineer, you felt like I have built something, I have developed
Mm-hmm.
something which is valuable, a piece of code or something. What was that moment? Do you remember it?
Yeah, I remember it. When we came out of college, we all heard about Java, Oracle, and those kind of applications, right? So there was one new project that came in around sales MIS analytics, and they
Hmm.
used a tool called as Hyperion SBase. It's
Hmm.
now acquired by Oracle. It's now under the
Hmm.
OBI root. But that time it was a different company altogether, and it was totally new to me. I have never heard of these kind of tools, technologies, and like this kind of analytics kind of platforms. We never hear about it in colleges, right?
Yeah.
So the deadline for that, for completion of, like, we needed to create three cubes around sales, risk, and marketing, and we had a deadline of 3 to 4 months, and none of the team members were having experience in Hyperion as base, and they being all the seniors. It was a quick learning experience for them as well, but for me it was like it was a tough task, at least at the starting of it.
Hmm.
But uh, we studied together, we did some POCs together, and I think in a month's time we were all expertise, and I could say that I was at par with those 8 9 years of experience of people working with them,
Right.
because now I was at the same level to them, at least for this technology, right? So
Right.
that gave me a very good sense of accomplishment. No, like, that I stand somewhere. It's not like I'm a fresher now.
Uh,
At least at some point, some aspect of it, I am equal to them.
yeah.
And then when I started working, I was good in coding. I'll
Yeah.
not disagree to that. And so the things that I did in that particular sales and marketing cubes, I completely wrote the OLAP processes for those.
Hmm.
And they were just reviewing all the things, but I actually did the coding part of it. And
Hmm.
there I saw the difference, as in, since I was quite hands-on before I joined TCS, I was having an edge there compared to the
Hmm.
other people who were just there for kind of managing the program and all those things. But
Hmm.
I felt like an engineer that if I don't do something right, things will break. And I had
Hmm.
nobody else was there capable, at least on that front, or taking ownership of that piece. But that gave me a sense of a good engineer. That was like that I felt.
It's always a great feeling to get that sense where something breaks which you have built is important. That's always a good feeling. Cool. So let's move to Anshul. Anshul, how about you? Is it similar to Ankit's experience in your case as well? How he explained his journey from campus to initial training to project allocation. Is it similar in your way, in your case?
Yeah. So few things are quite similar, and few things are very different. Purely because the nature of work that. Okay. So before I go there, so a quick
Yeah.
introduction. I'm Anshul Sethi, working with Global Payments as a associate director right now, and so I started my career in 2008 with Sensor Technologies, which is in Pune. So first, uh, I'll talk about the similar things which Ankit just mentioned, right? So campus placement is one of them. I was, campus selected for that company. Then training. It's only in Pune, and a small, office was in Hyderabad at that point of time. I don't know about right now. So I had like a week's induction, then some communication, trainings, and then there was a 10-day training on .NET C Sharp. And after that 10-day training, I was a .NET developer, quote unquote.
Right.
And I was, so something similar to what Ankit was saying. There were a few guys who were Sun certified Java developers and Oracle. So they got projects or trainings rather accordingly. But I didn't have any such certification or anything, so I don't know. What triggered my movement towards that area. But I was happy, and my trainer, I'm still in touch with him after like 12, 13 years, and he was very good. So in those 10 days, I got a good understanding of how applications work, web applications, and I was confident enough to start working, right? So that was about the training and where you go. There was no question on location at all because NSAR, as I said, it was predominantly Pune based. So it was always, Pune. So yeah. So first project I was allocated to was, I won't name the client or anything, but it was a UK based project. And it was, very similar to YouTube. So, video streams,
video streaming,
yeah, and user profiles. You can upload, download videos, etc. That was fascinating for me because all these things were new and how it works. You just pass a URL to a Flash player and starts playing video. I was fascinated by these small things at that point of time. And very similar to what Ankit mentioned, I worked with some fantastic developers, and all were like 8, 9, 6 years experience, right? So the way they were writing code, it was like I couldn't write in my notebook, that with that clarity, with that sophistication, and they were writing code with that level of proficiency. So I was fascinated by these 4 or 5 guys. I had super cool manager who helped me grow within those 2 years. Actually, I was managing a project towards the end. So he trusted me. He found few qualities in me which he explored and he exploited up to some extent. So So yeah, that was really good experience. I was there for like 2.3 years approximately, and by end of 2.3 years, I was moved to another project, and I was not very happy, you can say. So I gradually decided to move on. Yeah.
Okay. Great. And what was like the same question like I asked to Ankit, like what was the moment where you said you were leading a project in 2 years, but what was that first moment when you felt that, oh no, I feel like an engineer now, I've built something, or like, what was that moment? Do you remember?
So it was not building something. For me, it was breaking something, to be honest with you. So,
okay.
So there was this project that I was working on, and before I joined this project, there was a guy on client side, and there was this ritual that whenever you give build, after you're done with everything, you've tested, rigorously, etc., and you give that build to that guy, and within half an hour, he'll send at least 2 or 3 defects.
Okay.
That this is not working right? And I joined and I saw this couple of times and I started thinking how this guy is thinking, right? Everyone here, they're working day in, day out on this application, and why they are not able to figure this out, how to break this. So one fine day, I decided I'll use 2 machines. I'll not just test it by one machine. I logged in from both the machines, tried something, bizarre, and it broke. And that was fixed. And when it went to that guy, that was the first build which he said, yeah, this is good. Everything's working fine. So that was the moment when that sense of accomplishment, that sense of, okay, I can do this. This is not rocket science. And so that was my moment of realization, you can say.
Cool. And like, okay, so this is like more of a serious stuff. Now, if I ask both of you one by one that what's one, like, let's say, fun memory, or let's say the most excitement part of your first job, right? So for some, it could be the first salary or first, buying something first out of your first salaries. What was that experience of your, like, when you enjoyed your first job the most? What was that like?
So I'll go first. I'll go first.
Yeah.
So it was always a dream for me to throw a big party on my birthday, right? And we had parties in the childhood wherein people used to come at home, but I wanted to throw a party to my friends at a good restaurant, at a good diner, right?
Yeah.
A pub, I would say. And so it's in May, I think 5 months in my job, and my birthday comes almost at the month end. So the day of my birthday, I got the salary, and I thought of spending at least 10K. 10K was a huge amount at that time, right? And I invited 8 to 10 of my friends. I told them, drinks on me. And that was the fun part of it, that I wanted to do that, and it was fun.
How about you, Anshul?
Yeah, so I was I moved to Pune around July 2008, and my joining was October. So from July to October, the only thing I was doing was partying. So that was the last thing in my mind when I got my first salary. So so it's a little, you can say a little emotional thing also, because till that point you were asking for money from your parents, or something like that. So first time when I got, I still remember there was an ATM inside Zensa campus. So we got our Citibank cards, and the third or fourth day of our joining, and we were waiting. Okay, when this month end will come, and because we joined on 13th, so it was not the full salary that we got. It was half or something like that. So I still remember last day of the month, there was a huge line in front of that ATM, all freshers who joined together, like 40 of them, and everyone, and everyone was, withdrawing money from that ATM. And when my turn came, uh, I think I withdrawn like 5,000 or something, and I immediately went to market and bought 3 or 4 items for my parents and my sister, and uh, just like that. It was not planned. I just went and I said, okay, I'll buy something now. And immediately after that, there was Diwali vacation. So when I went there and I gave all the presents to these were very small things which I bought, but that was memorable. From first salary, you're buying something for someone. So that was the memory around
and just a fun fact on the line that you are talking about, right? The freshers line in front of the ATMs. I'm pretty sure half of them are just there to check the balance, take out the first receipt of their first salary as a souvenir, and not withdraw money.
Hashtag first salary.
One fun incident around that. So I had one friend, and we got bank accounts and ATM cards, etc. Somehow this guy, something happened on documentation or something, so there was no account for him yet when this first salary came. So he went to the accounts department in the within the campus, and while he was coming back, he had an envelope in his pocket.
Okay.
And I asked him, okay, did you get your salary? So he pulled out that envelope and he said that I got money in hand. That we say, right? How much in hand you're getting? I got in hand salary. So that I still remember. Yeah, in childhood. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, these are very. My journey is a bit bit. I will also share like my first job experience a little bit. So my first technical job, I would say, started with KPIT Cummins. But before that, I did two more jobs. So I started making money before my first, let's say, engineering job, because I worked in a technical call center for Microsoft for 3 months. Then I worked as a pre-sales guy for IT for 3 months, and so I was making money. Uh, so money making started before, but then I ended up in my first engineering job, which was in KPIT Cummins, where basically I started to work on SAP. So that was a big account in KPIT, which had its, let's say, enterprise support. They used to hire engineers, train them on SAP products. And then we used to provide consulting and support to global customers who use SAP products. So there was a friend of mine who recommended me or referred me to the position for a campus drive. And then we went to the drive, got selected. Then basically there was a training for 3 months. I was given SAP BI applications. So basically, again, I became part of SAP Business Objects, which is an application which is used for analytics and reporting and data warehousing. So it was more of consulting come support profile with technical expertise on the application. That was my first job. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, I have more fun stories from the jobs before that one. So probably I will share sometime that.
So I want to ask Avinash, is similar to what you asked us. So your moment of realization of being an engineer, do you remember that from your first job?
For me, the first time when I felt that, yeah, I'm an engineer is when I was working on a critical, with a critical customer on a critical incident. And over the weekend, I was able to solve one of the outage which they had in couple of hours, and resume the business operations for them. And it was hampering their production and costing them money to run the business. It was, I think, some company in the US. I don't remember the name now, but that was a moment when I did that. I was able to, I felt really good. I felt like an engineer that we can fix things, we can build things, we know how to support such complex applications and systems. So that was my moment where I felt that yeah, I actually can add some value being an engineer. So yeah, that was my moment. So you asked, Anshul. So I think this is a good wrap up now of our first job. How was it? What was the when was the first time we actually felt like engineer? We felt the reality of being an engineer, and some good experiences out of it. So I think we can end this first episode here, and in the next episode we'll try to discuss the next step, which is probably our first switch. So yeah, so thank you both of you for coming and sharing this. It was a great discussion, and I think the people who will watch it will also enjoy it. And yeah, so see you both again in the next discussion. Be prepared. We'll be talking about our first switch.
Thank you, Avinash.
Thank
This was
you.
fun. Thanks.
Bye.